So as a national portfolio organisation for the Arts Council, we've obviously signed up to a journey of change, really. And we've signed up to changing as an organisation, guided by these 4 investment principles, which I hope you're all very familiar with. So the Arts Council set out their understanding of what they mean by these principles. And then in our actual application to become an Arts Council organisation, at the start of each year with the funding period, we set out our milestones and our targets, which are relevant to us as Culture Leicestershire. So the aim really is to evolve as a service and a sector so that we can better meet the future needs of communities and also of artists. Another important aim for our work is to be valued by our communities, creative practitioners and partners. So the Arts Council clearly decided that our investment principle plans are appropriate and ambitious enough, which is all very good. And every quarter we report on the progress to our MPO board, who support us to monitor our performance. And as you'll be aware, each member of SLT leads on one investment principle out of the 4. Some do that together. And they manage the activity to ensure we achieve the commitments that we set out. So I lead on ambition and quality. I'm going to set out what the Arts Council mean by this, and then I'll share our 3-year ambition and our current commitments to ambition and quality. And it would be really useful to have in the back of your mind when you're listening to this, how you feel you can help us achieve in your role and how your work contributes to ambition and quality. And also any ideas that you have for year 3 of the MPO which align with these, because on the 6th of May in the full service day, we'll be asking for feedback around each of the IPs. And it will be a chance for you to influence future plans. So it's not just about us listening to communities, it's about us listening to you. So ambition and quality from the Arts Council perspective, you can see the public deserves the best in return for their investment. So the Arts Council is committed to the pursuit of the highest quality in everything that we do. And this really matters to them. The quality of what we do matters. They invested in us because our plans and ambitions are bold, and it was clear we're determined to continually improve. So how have we committed to do this, and what have we achieved so far? What we'd like to do at this stage is share a film with you. So hopefully this will play.
As a libraries, museums, collections, learning and participation service, we have committed to working in partnership with local people and local communities so that the services and opportunities we offer work for them. Our ambition is to be a responsive, reflective, dynamic service with community co-creation embedded in what we plan, what we collect, what we produce and what we deliver. To us, co-creation is when the people we are working with define all or some elements of the focus, aims and direction of a plan, activity, creative output or project. They may be empowered and or supported to decide how activities and outcomes are designed, delivered, made, enjoyed and shared. At Harbour Museum and Library, we used co-creation as the basis for a creative activity to bring groups who feel excluded and discriminated against to work on a project together. They created a cloth house representing what home means to them. Everyone made and added something. A Ukrainian lady added a window with a view of the Crimean Sea. A member of the Gypsy and Traveller community added wheels to represent their caravan. Co-creating with young children takes creativity. At OB Library, local families with children aged 0 to 5, including those who had not previously used the library, were invited to join a series of sensory workshops during which the creative practitioner observed how the children interacted and played with different activities. The creative practitioner then developed a multi-sensory resource for use in that space based on feedback and direction from both the parents and the reactions of the children. Members of the Sikh community were invited to explore how they could connect to Bosworth Battlefield Heritage Centre. Ladies in the group discovered a unique connection in history between the Battle of Bosworth in Leicestershire 1485 and the beginnings of Sikh faith in Punjab 1469. They researched significant Sikh women from the 15th century to the present day and designed and developed a museum exhibition. They were supported by professional curators and designers, but the ladies made all of the critical decisions. Young refugees and asylum seekers from Baka Charity in Loughborough chose to make a recipe book to share their stories, memories and traditions. Each young person selected their favourite dish from their home country, wrote the recipe for it in their native language, cooked and photographed the meal. Designers then brought this to life. The book is now in every Leicestershire library. A theatre performance brought the streets of Melton alive. It was designed based on stories collected and edited by local people.
We're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
Having a book talk club has been a really powerful thing in our school to get those.
A film that promotes Leicestershire Library's Borough Box, which is the opportunity to download thousands of free e-books, e-audiobooks, e-magazines and e-newspaper titles, was designed by young people, for young people, and even starred them. Our incredible traditional 17th century gardens at the 1620s house is designed and cared for by volunteers who choose what and where to plant, and they also make all the signs and write the creative interpretation themselves. Our Cultural Youth Forum led a project to survey the opinions of their peers across the county about what's important to them about the environment. They chose all of the questions and led the social media campaign. It received over 500 responses and informed the Leicestershire County Council's Net Zero strategy. As you can see, there are lots of different ways co-creation can happen. It's very important to give adequate consideration and thought to the different roles, responsibilities and remits within co-creation in the early planning stages and agree this with everyone involved. This can help reduce challenges. Co-creation has its challenges. It takes an investment of time. Directions may change multiple times. Trust needs to be built. Expectations of everyone involved needs to be managed. People's time and commitment needs to be fully respected. Reciprocal benefits need to be considered and be clear to avoid misunderstandings. Because we are part of Leicestershire County Council, we always need to be aware of our organisational and corporate parameters. As a service, we don't always have the power to agree to the direction local people or partners would like to make. This creates issues about boundaries and control, which we need to be aware of and clear and upfront about. Taking all of this into account, we know that co-creating with communities makes what we do better. So why do we co-create? It connects us to the communities we sit in. It brings new skills and experience, ideas and energy and different perspectives. It helps us all learn, develop and grow. It creates individual and community ownership, sense of pride and achievement. Culture Leicestershire gets to support positive social change in our communities with our communities. It means we can share the stories people care about and want to hear. It keeps us relevant and accessible. Co-creation is an opportunity for a reality check, challenged and championed by the very people we want to benefit from our service. To find out more about the co-creation activities or read blogs from local people, staff, volunteers and partners who co-create with us, visit www.cultureleicestershire.co.uk. If you have any specific questions, please email culture@leics.gov.uk.
Yay. Very good. Next slide, please. So we hope you found that useful. But one of the main reasons we did it was to be able to share with creative practitioners, with partners, with participants, so that we can all be on the same page about what we mean by Culture Leicestershire in terms of how we co-create. Because obviously there's lots of different perceptions of what co-creation means, and it's just easier to have something to share. So our 3-year ambition, as you saw in that, is to be a responsive, reflective, dynamic culture service with community co-creation embedded in everything that we do. And we've said that our measure of success will be physical and digital spaces where people engage with our collections, our resources and services, and shape their future development, their accessibility and their interpretation. But we not only agree to gather the views, the opinions, the expectations and the needs of the public, our visitors, our participants and our volunteers, but our peers and our partners and you as colleagues on the quality of what we do. So not just to ask, but to listen and to act on feedback. And we embrace this, and we made a commitment to make co-creation a fundamental principle of how we work. So we have piloted new ways of working with each other, and many of you have been directly involved. So this is a bit of a crazy slide because we've been through various kind of forms of our governance, but each discrete project has had their own working groups, and the representatives including many of you, all our stakeholders, our partners, the key colleagues, bring in different skills and experience to make the work happen. So you have helped develop, shape and action the activity, support its development and manage the risk. And yes, some ways of working have been more successful than others, but we now have a much better idea around what works when co-creating with communities, but also co-creating across teams. But our journey over the past 2 years has been much more about co-creations in projects. It's been about our governance, our planning, our decision making, and embedding all of that in everything that we do. So we've got an MPO board who, from totally different perspectives, yet again help us to grow. We have put a lot of effort into the creative work and processes that we need to work with creative practitioners, and we set up a creative practitioners working group. In the initial bid, a huge 40% of the budget was committed to new cultural and creative activity. And we knew that we were expected to develop different types of activity, from one-off events in one library to longer term projects across multiple venues, from workshops with an audience of 2 people to performances with audience of hundreds. And it's been our responsibility to support creative practitioners, to enable them to deliver with us, and for emerging artists, but also those at the very top of their game. So we committed to developing talent, but in order to do this, we needed to develop ourselves, our own processes and our own procedures. So through that creative practitioners working group, we have new application forms, new partnership agreements, induction booklets, supplier setup tools, and we evaluate all of this with the creative practitioners, continually adapting and amending according to feedback. Arts Council specifically asked us to involve young people, and we did this through the Cultural Youth Forum, so their voice can be heard in projects linked to the Market Town Museums, to the library projects, but also through the LCC Net Zero strategy development. We've committed to considering co-creation in relevant corporate and service policies. So corporately, examples of this is our community connectors involvement in the development of the adult A&C strategy. They've sat in the room with the people who've written that. And service-wide is our plans for the renewal of our own collections development policy. Vision in a creative and cultural county. That's the name of our cultural strategic planning project. And the blueprint for how this should be approached and communicated has been created with over 100 people. Workshop sessions, one-to-one interviews, summer project day. And how we use those ideas and that feedback is constantly at the forefront of our mind in the development of that. The Arts Council expect us to be aware of the best work in our field, wherever that happens in the country. They actually do say the world, and I was thinking, well, should I say the world or should I just say country? But actually they do mean the world, and we need to know how to look out for that best work and how we can apply it to our own development. So for this work and the data strategy work, we initiated and we led on an online national symposium to inform us of the briefs that we would need to explain our aims and ambitions for our external consultants. And that involved co-curating with different local authorities. So, for example, Fenland and Derbyshire and Kent and Oxford. So really, this investment principle has guided us to become less insular, more outward looking, and to bring in varied and new perspectives, and most definitely to take risks. But it's not just about the groups that we've been working with and what they represent and how we're going to achieve ambition and quality with them. It's about how we do it together. So we want our staff, our volunteers, our participants, our creative practitioners, everybody to increase their awareness and understanding and knowledge and experience of co-creation in ways that work best for them and for you. So for some of you, it's obviously been a baptism of fire, being part of delivery teams on projects and working with co-creation as a form of participation for the first time. But for others, it might be that you're aware it's happening and maybe you've now got a stronger understanding of the ethos of it, the parameters that surrounds it. For other people, it might be that you co-create on a daily basis without thinking about it. You don't shout about it and you've never actually referred to it using that term. I wanted to offer everybody the chance to reflect on your own understanding, on your own experience and your own confidence levels in working using a co-creation approach. Some pieces of work that you're involved in will have co-creation as a core element, and we actually do them to co-create. We hand over the power to a community to share stories in their way. For example, obvious examples, the Market Town Museum projects and the creative expression in library projects. But for most of our work as a service, co-creation is not necessarily business as usual, and it may never be. So what I want today is for you to think of co-creation as an option from now on. An option alongside what you would usually do and normally do. So alongside what resources we have and need. So when we think of the money, the staff, the time, the space, the skills, what does the law say? What does health and safety say? What does the county council say? What do our national standards say? But if there's an opportunity for co-creation, just consider it alongside that which you do as a matter of course. It might not be you who makes the co-creation happen, but it might be you that lights the spark. It brings me on to even more benefits of this funding, which is to make our ambitions happen, we do have investment. So if you have any other ideas about how working with communities or partners to define all or some elements of the focus, aims and direction of a plan, activity or project, if you want to be part of empowering or supporting people to decide how activities and outcomes are designed, delivered, enjoyed and shared, then keep this investment principle in mind. We want to offer you the opportunity to get involved with any of the following: either attending a co-creation workshop to learn more about the different processes involved, and/or the opportunity to shadow members of staff during activities where co-creation is happening, and/or again, the opportunity to have one-to-one or group chats about co-creation within your work. So you can find all of these briefings, including the one today, if you go to the Culture Leicestershire website and you type in that search icon, MPO, you will find the MPO pages. You can find the backgrounds and briefings there. So that's all of the different IPs as well. You can find information on the governance and the activity. We can stop the sharing of that now. The PowerPoint. So has anybody got any questions at this point about the Ambition and Quality IP, either how it's delivered, how it's monitored, how we use it in our work? Please raise your hand. Happy to answer questions now, or if you would like to come forward to take any of those opportunities to the next stage, then get in touch with me directly. Anybody got any questions? You'll be happy to know that even though this was booked for an hour, it's half hours. It's a half hour like everybody else, so you'll have a half hour to do what you want with. Fran, your hands up.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. I just wondered, given you've got the best overview, and I apologise, I missed the first part of your presentation, so I might be asking something you talked about at the beginning. What do you think has been the most significant learning that we've taken over the past kind of couple of years? Because it has been a huge kind of journey. Yeah,
I think that it's not all about us. And that, yes, we are the professionals, and yes, we have the expertise and the experience, but actually if we don't start listening to our local communities, then we will not be inclusive, accessible, relevant, and what we make, what we share, what we choose to display, how we deliver, how we shape, will also not be what people want. And we need to start factoring that in the back of our minds in everything that we do. Otherwise, we're going to get left behind.
No, that's great. That's really useful. And for me, there's quite a lot of synergy with a lot of the wider conversations that are happening across the organisation in terms of, ensuring that, the residents of Leicestershire are involved in shaping and developing the services that they want to use. And I suspect that will continue to be a really strong theme. Thank you.
Thanks, Fran. You'll all be involved in different elements of it, but when you see the why we chose co-creation as the theme for ambition and quality, and how that then fits in with the rest of the bid and the rest of the investment principles, it all kind of starts to make sense. If there's no more questions, I'm going to leave it there. But thank you so much for sharing your time, and obviously come to me with any of these opportunities that we've offered. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.